using Talonted protection.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of Connect 4. I am Talent.
And I'm Marlon White.
We're going to get right into it. Tell everybody who you are and what it is that you do.
So I'm Marlon White. I'm an attorney. Formerly, I've done some domestic violence trials, civil domestic violence trials. Did some business, transactional business law. Also did family law. I also was a criminal prosecutor, so I was a Florida state attorney, prosecuting state attorney for almost a year. Now I do personal injury and criminal law at the Watson law firm in Pensacola, Florida. We do personal injury and criminal defense at the Watson firm in Pensacola, Florida.
Very cool. Like I said, I've known you since about 2009, 2010. And
before all of that stuff.
Yeah, and when I first met you, we were both doing AV.
Yeah.
And you were even back then talking about being an attorney.
Right. So I think when we were working together back then, I think I was just getting into the process of starting to get into law school, just to start to take the admissions test.
Yeah, you were just even looking into it.
Yeah, I was just looking into it at that point, and I don't think I had even taken my first admissions test yet to try to even to get in. Just to get into law school, there's an admissions test to even see if you're good enough. So I think I was a good maybe year or two away when we first met, maybe even longer than that.
I think it was longer than that, because I remember some of the guys were teasing you, like, nobody goes to law school at this age, like.
Right. I think I was 28, and I didn't start law school until I was 31. So I think I was maybe 27 or 28 back then.
Why do people think that's so impressive?
What's so impressive?
Going back to school, or going for something at age 30, like.
I don't know, at a graduate school, like a law school, I've had classmates who were as young as 20. But as old as 60. I even had a medical doctor, he was a gynecologist, in some of my property classes. It was just a second career, something else he wanted to do. So I've been in class with 20-year-olds and 60-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right.
Never too late.
Right.
Unless you're dead.
Never too late unless you want to do it. And ever since I was a kid, I wanted to do one of three things: either be a NFL football player, a wide receiver. I mean, when I was in high school, you couldn't tell me.
Why aren't you on the bus?
You couldn't tell me that I wasn't gonna play football. A football player, a filmmaker, or a lawyer. So when I was about 27 and 28 years old, I was thinking, well, maybe I could go enroll at UCF and go walk on as a 28-year-old footballer trying to play with the 18, 19-year-old kids, and then maybe the NFL will draft a 30-year-old. No, that's not going to happen. So I made one of those things happen.
Well, you made one of them happen.
Yeah, I made one of them happen.
I think we can make the other two happen, but in a very different way than you might be imagining.
Oh yeah.
We can make a movie about you being a football player.
We have to be in shape for that.
That can happen.
Yeah, that can happen.
That can happen. Alabama Junior.
Yeah. So that area of Florida, there's two Floridas. There's three. Actually, there's three Florida. You got South Florida, you got Central Florida where we are, and then you have North Florida, the Panhandle. Now, the Central Florida and South Florida, they're the same. They're similar enough.
More like California, New York.
But North Florida, that's not the Florida I'm used to. I call North Florida, the Panhandle area, I call it Lower Alabama. That's what I call it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend Marlon White is telling me that during a deposition, somebody that was doing the video for the deposition was using tape still. And if this is not an uncommon thing, I'm going to tell you right now, hire me. There are no tapes. We can film all day long and never have to stop.
Look, since I've had a audio-video background, and all the depositions I've been that have been videotaped, they've had to stop they would, get into the groove of the deposition, and they would tap me on the shoulder and say, "Hey, 3 minutes left." So that's them telling me that they have 3 minutes left of tape before they have to change it. So I'm thinking, like, why are you still using tapes? Listen, my name is Marlon White Esq, attorney at law. I definitely recommend James White for your deposition needs.
Tell us about what it's like being an attorney.
It's glamorous at sometimes. The glamour can come up not as much as all the stressful times. It's really stressful. I know that movies and television makes getting a lawyer seem very glamorous, but it's very, very hard. I mean, I thought that going to law school and passing the final bar exam was tough. I mean, that was like a brick wall. I thought that was tough. No, actually practicing, that's pretty difficult, and you don't learn everything until you actually go through it. You have to actually have some experience. There's just some things you can't figure out until you actually do it. I mean, there's been several times early in my career where I didn't learn something until I was in front of a judge.
Guilty!
So as a state prosecutor, I prosecuted criminals.
Okay.
So I did that. So I was the one, convincing the jury, ladies and gentlemen, he is guilty of this crime. You must convict.
Don't listen to him.
Yeah. Yeah, that was me. I played the Robert Mueller role for a while. So that was fun. But I left the state, so I no longer was prosecuting criminals. But now, at our firm, we do defend criminals.
Was there ever a time, basically, that you lost and you probably should have won, and the reason you didn't was because of inexperience?
No, but by inexperience, I should have never taken the case to trial in the first place. There was a one murder trial I wasn't the first chair prosecutor on it. I was what's called a second chair prosecutor. It was a murder trial, and actually the issue at trial was not whether or not the person actually did it. That was set. They actually murdered someone, but the only issue that the jury had to decide on whether it was first degree murder or second degree murder. And so it was actually a husband. I think I'm remembering.
One of them's premeditated.
Right. So the husband chopped up. He hit his wife with an axe several times. Obviously killed her. So at trial was not whether or not he murdered her. It was first degree or second degree murder. So the difference between the two.
And he admitted to it and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So the difference between the two is first degree murder. It's premeditated. There's some malice to it, and they both have malice, but first degree is just premeditated. Second degree murder, not premeditated. It happens on a reaction and not really a premeditated plan. So if you and I get into a fight and we start arguing about something, I kill you, there's a good argument it could be second degree murder because I didn't plan it out. But I think what we were trying to go for in this case, that he had a plan to kill his wife, and he premeditated this murder.
What's the difference in sentencing in that case, in first and second degree?
So the way Florida has, to keep that as simple as possible, Florida has sentencing guidelines for all felonies, all life felonies. Florida has a point system. I don't remember if he already had points. So what that means, if you have already been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor beforehand, you have points going with you. So if you get charged with something else, the sentencing guidelines will add your previous points and your current points. So with this guy, I can't remember if he had previous points, but second degree murder, they already carry a certain amount of points with them anyway. But second degree murder points are different from first degree murder points. So you want the second degree murder charge other than the first degree all day, anytime. The jury came back with they gave us the first degree verdict. We were looking for the first degree. They came back with first degree, and I think the defendant immediately appealed. and I was off the case by the time the appeal came up. I left the office by the time the appeal came up, so I don't know what happened after that. One of the ballots are not able to be read in the machine. In that situation, then they have to be transferred over to a new ballot. And so we observe that process and make sure they're properly transferred over and properly read into the machine. So today they're doing the machine recount process and possibly, if necessary, go ahead into a manual recount process. Well, as far as the the Trump administration, I can't call myself a, what were you gonna say?
Well, like, you want to be specific. There's something, I don't know what to believe because, like, obviously an attorney wants to win. So you have, like, Rudy Giuliani, who is now his attorney, which, if you ask me, is a fucking sideshow unto itself.
Right.
But he's like, first they're like, there's no collusion. There's no collusion. This is a whole thing, and that's the mantra over and over. And then he goes, even if there was collusion, it's not illegal.
Well, and that's fine. It's okay to do that because every lawyer will argue in the alternative. So you can definitely give your first argument.
So just because he's a lawyer and he's saying it's not illegal doesn't make it so.
No, but I'm not mad at him saying, well, even if it was collusion, it's not illegal. I don't mind that. I don't mind Giuliani doing that because every good lawyer will make their initial argument and then have an alternative argument saying, even if my first argument isn't right, then you got this happening, and that's fine. That's totally okay. Every lawyer wants to do that, and it's called arguing in the alternative, and that's called
alternative fact.
I don't like to be on one side of the extreme. Like I'm definitely not calling myself a conservative, but I definitely see some conservative viewpoints. Mm-hmm. And I definitely won't call myself a liberal either, because there's some, some conservative views as far as economics. Yeah, I think the conservatives are right. But then even on the liberal side, I think things like, for example, to get specific, I mean, things like abortion. Yeah, I would be definitely liberal on that. Not only because of how abortion being wrong, I just think legally that issue was settled, and we can talk about that if you want to.
I think it was settled. There's this other thing, and a lot of my liberal friends would probably get mad at me for this. This was talked about actually in either the first or second Connect 4 episode I did with Shellman. And he agrees with me. We were both in agreement immediately. I brought up this news story. Check this out. I heard there was this place, a bakery.
Okay.
And this gay couple came there and wanted to make a cake for their wedding. They didn't want to do it. And if they didn't like the way your nose looked, or that maybe, one ear was bigger than the other or something, and that was the reason they didn't want to make you a cake, they should have every right to not make you a cake. But some judge ordered these people, said they had to do it. Like, what kind of crazy?
Wow, that's dictatorship right there.
Yeah. They took it all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
They ruled that the guy has every right to refuse them service.
Because was it his religious preference? Is that what he?
Yeah, I guess he staked it on that.
If I remember
correctly.
But
even if it wasn't his religious preference, my opinion as far as that kind of thing goes, if you have a business, you have the right to refuse somebody's service for any reason.
Yeah.
On the flip side, semi-recently, several months I'd say, a Trump supporter was kicked out of a bar for wearing a MAGA hat.
I remember that.
And then the right flips out. I always thought it was like, if you're a private business, this isn't like a government organization making wedding cakes here, like that's one thing, Well,
let me explain it to you. So a private business, but you are what's called a public accommodation. Like you run a hotel or a hospital, but in the U.S. Code Section 1983 statute, it lists all the public accommodations. So if your private business is one of those public accommodations, you cannot discriminate on anyone on the basis of their race, color, religion, any of that. It is illegal. You cannot do it.
Is a cake baker?
A cake baker? So more than likely, a cake baker is not going to be considered a public accommodation.
Yeah.
You can't make someone perform a service. I mean, that's indentured servitude. You can't.
That's exactly what Shellman said. He goes, "That's like."
That is the start of a dictatorship. That is the start of martial law regime that is the start of a society that ain't no American society that I wanted to grow up and be a part of.
Freedom.
What I think is probably really most pertinent here is that Donald Trump has picked 2 Supreme Court justices.
What was the argument that
That is-
Obama couldn't pick the one? Why? I mean,
He was going out of office soon, and then the Republicans just wouldn't confirm anyone that he nominated. And I think he nominated at least 1 or 2, but the Republicans were like, no, we're not even going to consider confirming any of them.
I don't understand whether there are laws in the books or not. You were saying, like, something should just be common sense. If they can prove that a bunch of these people were meeting with Russian agents, like members of the Russian government, for whatever their outcome, which is to get him to be president, how is there not a problem there? Their whole goal, it's not just really even to support Trump, it's to sow discord. Because as long as we're over here running around like idiots fighting amongst each other, we're not over there stopping them from taking little bits and pieces of the USSR back.
Well, okay, so from what I understand and how the Russian government influenced the election is that they didn't go and change ballots, right? They didn't go to the machines and
They played people's opinions.
right. So what they
They
did,
played on sentiment.
right? So what they did is go to other channels to try to persuade people's opinions, and that's been proven. So if anyone here assisted Russians with going to those other channels to play on people's opinions and sway them, as of right now, I really don't see how that is.
Back to Captain Obvious.
Hold on, now based on
Hey,
that,
Russia, if you're listening.
right. Yeah, I don't know much about Russia, but when we start letting foreign companies influence something as sacred as a fair election and a fair transition to power, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Common
Lobbyists,
sense. That's a big problem.
term limits, there are all these things that need to be fixed. It's so complicated, man. Like, and for
Not really. You can sift through it.
yeah, well, that's your job.
You can sift through it, like term. You think should be more presidential term limits or like Congress?
Congress.
Yeah. That's
No,
tough.
yeah, they're guys who are 500 years old. They shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's tough. They have. Is it unlimited term limits?
Yes.
That's crazy.
And then
That
the
is
whole
crazy.
with the lobbyist thing, once you leave, you can come back and lobby for whatever interest you want.
Mhm.
And it's like, it goes both ways. Somebody who used to be a lobbyist is now a top-ranking government official. It's like, you shouldn't be able to do that. All the conflicts of interest that are happening that
Yeah,
people
of
say
course.
shouldn't be conflicts of interest.
Violations where a president can't have business interests and to where his policies would affect his business interests. You have to completely divulge yourself from that. So if you ask me to believe that 1 second that Donald Trump is completely divested from his business and not wanting to make policies that will assist his business, I'm not that gullible. I don't have any proof of it.
No, but
But
come on, again,
Maybe
common sense.
Yeah, I'm not that.
At what point are we... This is where the legal thing gets stupid to me. Because you're like, well, because it wasn't written down on a piece of paper, I guess it's okay to do a genocide. You guys, please out there educate yourselves on these topics. I know it's so boring. I'm bored to death sitting here talking about it. But it's necessary. Because if we don't vote, if we don't look into these things, if we're not educating ourselves on it, we're going to end up with someone... You thought George W. Bush was the dumbest person that could ever be president? Well, guess what? They trumped you. And guess what? It could get worse. So please, for the love of God, educate yourselves.
I could kiss George Bush right now.
Right?
Let's meet tonight's players. Versus. Let's play Connect 4.
Round 1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, mano a mano, ready to play the game once again. My man Marlon, you are the guest. I will let you go first.
I haven't played this game since I was probably 9.
I hear this all the time.
Yeah. These are, I've never seen these pieces.
Yeah, this is a new board my friend got me last Christmas.
Oh, okay.
And I guess it's made of wood.
Ah. So the name of the game is defense, right?
It depends. It is an offense-defense game, but yes, a lot of the time it boils down to
Defense wins championships.
Well, for the Bucks, it did back in the day. Back when Sapp was playing.
Yeah. Well, actually, in every if you look at it, I think all the Super Bowl winning teams, they had good defense. Or the team that had the least defensive mistakes is the team that won.
Defense. Defense.
Let's do that. Obviously. There we go. Uh-huh.
Telling another guest of mine, you can tell a lot about a person by the way they play Connect
What
Four.
is the Connect Four?
Picking up the rest of the pieces. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Ready to go. Fast fire.
So once the business was done, I had just 2 days to just goof off, and that last day that the event was over, I passed out in my hotel room. Vegas was great.
I will go eventually. I have a friend out there I've been meaning to visit. We can never line it up properly though. Fuck me. This is one of the better games, folks. I usually lay waste to people pretty quick.
Trained well, young pal.
Indeed. I will put an end to this.
Oh, why in the world would you do that?
Round one.
Round 2.
Ah! I got a sound effect just for that sort of thing.
What do you think?
I actually thought you were gonna go
Yeah.
for it. I'm like, is this fool really gonna do that?
You right where I want. That kind of messed it up.
Never reveal your plan, man.
You could have won. You know that, right?
There
No.
and there.
Yeah.
I just did. I just did.
Oh.
I got you two ways, brother. There it is. Another victory for
Man.
talent in the books. Mr. White, thank you very much for coming and doing
Thank you,
this.
sir. Absolutely.
I've been
We had a long time coming, right?
Yes, I've been wanting to have you out and do this for a hot minute, so I really appreciate
We
you.
should do another one. Whenever you want. When I'm in town, I'll definitely call and see what you want to do.
Cool. We'll get into some other shit. Maybe talk about getting you into that movie as a football player.
Yeah. Right.
And we won't have to be all lawyered out.
Let's talk about astrophysics, man.
Are you into that?
Oh man, that's like a hot. Okay, so in my spare time, what little spare time I have, I study astrophysics.
Dude, I am totally into that. Let's, next time we'll talk about physics, astrophysics, what the universe is made up of, and all that other stuff.
All right.
Thank you again, man.
Good.
Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we will see you next time on Connect Sports. Loser
Yeah, so
case.
he's innocent. I mean, what the heck is a 48-year-old guy doing that with his son's girlfriend?
Speculation.
Right. Exactly.
Hearsay. Strike and remove.
Right.